Question and answers to question.
Mr. Speaker, I'm seeking clarification again because an attempt was made yesterday by a member to inquire or to submit questions to the Speaker for approval for tabling today. And it was followed by, again, a document circulated to the member which confused the process. And I'm really hoping that we can clarify this finally. And also to be able to get a clear timeline as to when, what time during Monday the question must be submitted for them to be properly vetted for tabling today. Because I think it's unfair that the member having submitted the questions for vetting yesterday, the approval has not come as yet. So I'm urging that a definitive statement be made as to what time on the Monday is the cutoff time for the tabling of questions, so that we don't have a confused state of affairs going forward.
I think on this matter, the Speaker has issued clear directions in relation to the questions to be submitted. I think my recollection is within at least 24 hours before one intends to table them. But this is a process. Once the questions are tabled, then the questions, in accordance with the standing order, have to be vetted, looked at, examined by the Speaker to ensure that they are in accordance with said standing orders. We would have gone through this process already. This letter, my understanding, with the questions would have come in yesterday, and the Speaker at the time has not gotten the chance as yet to look at it, and as such, the questions are not now here with us. As we can all appreciate, the Speaker is not in the House at this time, and as such, as such, based on the time when the questions arrived, and the Speaker not being able to peruse the questions at that time, the questions are not yet before us. I am very certain that as soon as the Speaker can peruse the questions, once the questions are in keeping with the standing orders, then the questions will be so tabled at the next appropriate time.
It's my time. I think I was up before you.
The member was before you.
Mr. Speaker, the standing order says the questions are delivered before the sitting of the House. The decision was that at least 24 hours before. If a member submits his or her question 24 hours before, it's no business of the member whether the Speaker look at it or not. It's supposed to be with it before the sitting. It can be 10 minutes before. It can be 10 minutes before. Okay? So if the Speaker says 24 hours, the member make them available to the clerk before. Okay? If the member delivered to the clerk 24 hours before, it's not the member's fault. So we can't say the Speaker didn't have the time to look at them. Why the hell did you ask for the 24 hours before? It's not the member's fault. The Speaker took 24 hours. The member filled his or her obligation. So it's not our business whether or not the Speaker look at it. It's our obligation to review it before. So don't tell the member this time. Don't tell the member. Don't tell the member the Speaker didn't get a chance to look at it. That's not unacceptable. Totally unacceptable. And we should bring the House to that level to come with this nonsense about they get a chance to read. Nonsense.
Before you, House Leader, Let me just read from the standing order.
Based on my information,
Sorry, turn the mic on.
based on my information, the questions were submitted at 3:41 p.m. yesterday. That is my information.
Members, before you all speak, I will be reading from the standing order as it relates to questions. Section 14, nature of question, subsection 2. Notice of a question may be handed by a member to the clerk during the period known as question time. Every such notice shall be signed by the member giving it. A member who desires an oral answer to a question shall mark his notice with an asterisk, and a question not so marked shall require a written answer, which, when received, shall be circulated with the minutes of the proceedings of the House. Subject to paragraph 5, a question mark for oral answer shall be put down for a day to be named by the member, being a day not earlier than 21 clear days after the question has appeared on the question paper. I am reading from the book, that's all. Yeah?
Mr. Speaker, in adopting the position advanced earlier by the member from Southwest St. Catherine,
They
I
know
would
that for fuck.
just like to say,
I
Mr.
don't see me that damn
Speaker,
much.
that anything can happen
PM
to the
them.
sitting speaker. And if we can advance now by urging the deputy speaker to also be in a position to vet these questions and to signal approval. So it need not have to wait on the substantive speaker to address these routine matters. And the section that you have read already, the section you have read, Mr. Speaker, it really is not relevant to the issue at hand.
So, Mr. Speaker, I would have just gotten sight of the Speaker's ruling on this matter the last time that it came up. And what I said earlier was not a part of the Speaker's ruling in relation to the 24-hour period. What the Speaker had indicated in her ruling is that the standing orders are to be in other words, at question time, the member looking to table questions are to hand up the questions at that time. At that time, the questions, then there will be a vetting of questions. It does not mean that the questions being handed up at this time, that the Speaker who is currently sitting in the House will be able to vet them immediately and to see if they are keeping the standing orders. And to be clear, let me just read what was said. Standing Orders 15.2 provides that a notice of a question may be handed to the clerk during question time. So when the Speaker indicates question time, all members are reminded that strict adherence to this standing order is required to avoid confusion or conflict. So in other words, bringing it in before 24 hours, that's not the methodology, right? So, no, that's not what this is the ruling of the Speaker. Once received by the clerk, This was no, when it comes to questions. Once received by the clerk, each question must be submitted to the speaker to enable the discharge of the responsibilities under Standing Order 16.2. That standing order empowers the speaker to determine whether a question infringes any standing order or constitutes an abuse of the right of questioning, and to direct the question to be amended or entered in the order book with such alterations as may be necessary. The Speaker's review ensures that the questions are properly framed, comply with the standing orders, and may be tabled in an orderly and procedurally correct manner. According to Standing Order 15.2, accordingly, Standing Order 15.2 does not guarantee same day tabling. Effective immediately, questions submitted during question time under Standing Order 15.2 will be received and reviewed by the Speaker. All questions will be tabled following the completion of the Speaker's review once deemed to be in full compliance with the standing orders. The procedure safeguards the rights of members, ensures the orderly management of parliamentary business, and confirms that all questions comply with the standing orders. Members are therefore expected to comply fully with these directions. As such, we can recommit question time for the member to submit to the clerk the questions. And then the speaker will review the questions for the questions to be in keeping with the standing orders in accordance with 15.2. And once that review is done, then the questions will be tabled. Well, let us, you have a right to table in accordance with the standing orders. So let us proceed with that standing. That is the speaker's ruling. Isn't it? No, that's the note. Just to be clear, members, I would have said earlier, and that was incorrect. What the speaker has indicated is what I just read. That was her ruling that in keeping with the standing orders, during question time, the questions are to be tabled and then they'll be reviewed by the speaker to ensure that they're in keeping with the standing orders. It's very clear. It was sent to all members.
There you go. Number now on the come.
Member from St. Catherine, Southeastern.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Having followed the logic of the leader of government business and the ruling by the Speaker, what we are doing is concentrating the powers of a gatekeeper into the hands of the Speaker. Because if you submit something and the Speaker decides that it's going to take 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, we can end up in a situation where the tabling of the questions will be delayed until the matter is no longer relevant. Now, where did this 24 hours come from? And why is it that we were referring to 24 hours and then the pushback to say that it was late by half an hour no longer stood? We're hearing now that it is going to be tabled during question time, and at the discretion of the Speaker, maybe this year the questions will be tabled.
Member, the ruling from the Speaker was from last December. So pay attention to that. It was from last December. So it's not just now. It has been here for at least a month or so.
Normally by gunshot.
I was actually in the house one Tuesday afternoon when the speaker made a big point about making sure that the questions came in time before. Yes, I was sitting here. No one told me. I heard it with my own 2 ears. In fact, the point that you have raised was the point a member sought to make. And he was made to seem as if he was ignorant to the standing order. In fact, it was listed that he should know better because he had been here. And so I do not want us to just run across it like that and pretend that the speaker did not give us different instructions separate to the note that she has written. In fact, if you just allow me, I'm ending now. In fact, the problem has been that in trying to keep order, sometimes the speaker goes beyond, yes, what she is supposed to. And I think that just a little discretion and treating us as adults to listen to the points that we are making in that conversation could assist.
Mr. Speaker, you know, I'll start with the last point made by the member. One of the challenges that we've had in this House is probably that point about discretion. What the Speaker has consistently tried to do is to keep us in line with the standing orders. It doesn't have to do with treating anybody like children, but we are a parliament of rules, and the rules are contained in the standing orders. And if as adults we do not like the rules, if as adults we do not like the rules, we do not chastise the person who is keeping the rules. We use the processes to amend the rules. So it is very important that we do not misrepresent the approach of the speaker. And the beauty with this speaker, other than indicating her view, is that the speaker reduces to writing in very clear terms her position and rulings on matters. And what she does is to consult and then to issue a ruling. So on the 2nd day of December, 2025, on the Speaker's ruling on the House of Parliament documentation, the Speaker has a very clear ruling. So I ask all the members to familiarize themselves with the ruling. Secondly, to the member from St. Catherine, the standing orders does make the Speaker the gatekeeper. It is very clear. Standing Order 16 says, the 16.1 says, the right to ask a question shall be subject to the following general rules, as to the interpretation of which the Speaker shall be the sole judge. There's only one Speaker, and the Speaker has to be that judge. So again, to be clear, and I apologize to the House earlier in relation to not first consulting with the Speaker's very clear ruling. To be clear, when the House reaches the agenda item, question time, the member who is desirous of asking questions are to submit their questions to the clerk. The clerk will work with the Speaker in relation to the review of those questions. I appreciate the questions about time frame. It's one of the issues that the standing order is silent on. However, I am very sure, especially whether it be the Deputy Speaker or the Speaker, that it will be done in reasonable time. Reasonable is a construct of law. Reasonable time. Reasonable has to be depending on the questions, whether, remember, the Speaker is going to assess whether the questions fit in to the rules. So it depends. Member Bunting asked about 30 questions, 35 maybe, under different categories. You understand? So I understand everybody. There is no attempt to frustrate. It's an attempt to put a system in place. Let's stick with the standing orders. Speaker.
Question and answers.
Mr.
Questions.
Speaker.
Questions and answer to questions.
Mr. Speaker, I had indicated long ago on the mic, my mic has been on. That's why I'm catching his eye now. A mic has been on before the leader spoke.
Member from St. Catherine Southern, go ahead.
First, I want the removal of the member from Western Kingston. Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the matter of the rulings of the Speaker in recent times have become very controversial. And it is unusual. It is unusual. The standing order in number 72, Privileges Committee of Parliament. The standing order allows for the rules that govern the operations, the privileges be settled.
Let me hear the point of order. Turn your mic on, please.
I think it's very inappropriate to be discussing a matter involving the Speaker in the absence of the Speaker. And furthermore, and furthermore, Mr. Speaker, to question the standing orders on which the Parliament is operating. Mr. Speaker, I believe that it is a point of order. It is a point of order.
Continue
and the
point.
members are using this for grandstanding. They're grandstanding. And you should not allow it, Mr. Speaker. You should not. Not yet.
My mic was on. Okay.
Members, if you continue to have the crosstalk, then we will just continue with the business of the House. I gave you the floor and you started to make some comments, which is no way in keeping with the standing order that you're raising on. Understand? Please. No, you don't have to respond to my comment. You stand on the ground to make a statement. Go ahead quickly with it. So, all right, so we can move on then because you weren't making a statement.
Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker.
Member from St. Catherine Southern, you have the floor.
Mr. Speaker. Hold on, Faith. Hold on, Faith. Mr. Speaker, Faith. Hold on.
Member from St. Catherine, so sit.
Turn his mic on.
I will say this. I will say this. When I asked a member to sit a while ago, I asked a member from St. Catherine Southern to sit because his mic from I was asking the member whose mic was on to sit so I could address you. But you continue to shout across the floor. I am saying to you, your mic was on, and before you could even start to make your presentation, you were cross-talking with another member. You did. I am going to ask you, member. I am going to ask you to sit now. I am going to ask you to sit. Member from St. Catherine Southwestern. I am ruling on this. I am asking the member from St. Catherine Southwestern. Your mic is lighted up and I'm going to turn it on now. You are the person who have the floor.
No, Mr. Speaker. No.
Hold on.
Mr. Speaker, my mic is
Mr.
on now and
Speaker.
I will speak.
Sit.
My mic is on now.
Member, the only reason you're behaving in that manner now, I simply gave you the floor. All you did was I'm giving the person next to speak, and he is going to speak. Member from St. Catherine South. Member from St. Catherine South. Oh, I'm attack.
Thank you. Mr. Speaker, all I wish to say at the outset, one, rulings from the chair, from the Speaker's chair, have been most controversial in recent times. This Parliament have seen speakers from both sides. It has never happened before. We have never had these levels of controversies about the Speaker's ruling. They have been easily adhered to by either side. We have walked that road before. The Privileges Committee in the Parliament sets out a way to arrive at a consensus around how the House's business are conducted. It is not for the Speaker to unilaterally, arbitrarily set rules on the running of the House. And there's a reason for that, Mr. Speaker. The Parliament will change from time to time. And whichever side is in government is expected to abide by the commonly agreed rules. And it's for that reason why the rules in the House ought to be arrived at through consensus on both sides. Not by the opposition by itself, and neither by the government. It's a parliament of members. And all we're asking for, the rules that will obtain as it regards to questions or any other matters, private members' motion, how they deal with procedurally, they be settled there. The ruling of the Speaker as an umpire is to ensure that the decision of the moment when the House is in session is in keeping with those agreed provisions. Now, maze, that is not a standing order, is recognized because it says both sides must agree. So even if the standing order is not explicit on a particular point, there is nonetheless an agreed way in which those matters are dealt with. Mr. Speaker, I respectfully and humbly submit. Yes. If we continue with that convention, which has not been controversial before, we won't have much of the problems that we're having in the House. And for heaven's sake, we don't want posterity to judge the tenure of this House in a very unfavorable way. So I make a plea. Let us just revert to an orderly, balanced way of how the House business is conducted. I have, lastly, before I take my seat, I have in the past Parliament prepared questions, submitted them before time, and it's 1.5 months before they end up reaching here. I've been on the receiving end myself, which has not been in keeping with the conventions of the Parliament. So I make my plea, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
Mr. Speaker, the House Leader make reference to ruling by the Speaker. You read section of the standing order. But may I draw the House's attention to the fact that the Speaker's ruling cannot be in conflict with the standing orders. And if such rulings are in conflict with the standing order supersedes any ruling from any Speaker.
Mr. Speaker, I just wanted to add my concern to the conversation, because I don't know if I'm hearing something differently, but it's coming across from what I've heard, member said from St. Catherine South, as if the Speaker is on a frolic of her own, as if she's doing, no, let me finish, please. And that is not my experience, and that's not what I heard the House Leader read. The House Leader read the ruling of the Speaker, which from listening to it, the Speaker's ruling was consistent with the standing order. So member from St. Catherine South, if you're asking the Speaker to be consistent with the standing order, then the ruling of the Speaker is proper. Her action in relation to questions be posed or tabled is in line, is consistent. To ask her, not the Speaker, not to do that would be asking her to be inconsistent with the standing order. So I just want to make the point very clearly, Mr. Speaker. Let us not paint the picture that the Speaker is operating in a manner that's not consistent with the standing order, because that's not true. That's not true. The Speaker, the ruling is very clear. It is consistent with the standing order.
So, Mr. Speaker, I think the member from Clarendon Central was on point in relation to his framing of it, and also the member from St. Catherine Southwestern, that whatever the Speaker rules has to be in accordance with the standing order. There has been no controversial ruling by the Speaker, and it is unfortunate. It is unfortunate. It is unfortunate that it is framed like that. There may be rulings that people don't agree with. That is that doesn't rise to controversy, right? No. On this matter, the member from St. Catherine South correct. You only go to Mays for interpretation if the provision is not clear. There is no lack of clarity in relation to these provisions. The challenge is that they have not been adhered to over the years. This speaker is saying we are adhering to the standing order, and that will benefit every member of the House. As the member from Manchester Southern tabled these questions, would have been answered in the time were it not for I couldn't be here that day, and he got it the next time at bat. The member from St. Catherine Southwestern has moved his private member's motion. They have been debated in keeping with the standing order. The member from St. Catherine Southwestern. You don't have to get up. I'm talking now. I'm talking now. Don't tell me about that. I'm talking now. What I'm saying, we are adhering to the standing orders. Thank you.